Sweet.
With the bank holiday coming up, it had to be because of all that rain today. Some lucky people, though, will be heading for Manchester Airport. Spare a thought, though, for all those people who are heading there to work this weekend. It takes a mere 14,000 staff to run the airport, and they have to deal with all sorts, as Trevor Green has been finding out.
First, meet Bob Bell. He's one of the airport's customer relations managers. He's a man with 1,001 stories to tell.
I'm responsible for anything and everything that moves. Initiation of emergency procedures, making sure that the passengers are well looked after by the airlines, and to monitor service standards. It's a job that I would term as a people job, getting out and talking to people and just generally making sure everything that works as it should. We did have an Australian couple when they were studying a map, and when they were asked where they were looking for, they said Luga Baruga, and they couldn't find it on the map. So after several moments they were asked to spell it. It was L-O-U-G-H B-O-R-O-U-G-H, Loughborough. There was a lady who had arrived on the New York flight, and she was saying, "This ain't Manchester." We said, "Madam, this is Manchester." "This ain't Manchester, I've been to Manchester before. And why are you guys talking so funny?" And she wanted to go to Manchester, Indiana, and she'd gone on the wrong plane. Once you go airside, we actually have facilities to look after children. We can predict the number of passengers. We will know then the staffing levels to aim at, the number of seats to put out. We can organise security accordingly. And we like to think that we do it very, very well.
Yes, an amazing 250,000 passengers expected through Manchester Airport this weekend. Of course, they're all bound to have at least one item of luggage with them. Now, what happens to all those suitcases? Let's go behind the scenes and see if we can find out.
Laser beams ensure that they don't crash into one another. Electronic scanning of the barcoded labels mean they should end up on the right flight.
Bags do occasionally go astray. There's one person here who can sort out the lost luggage, and that's Carol. Carol,
Hello.
You've got a few lost bags here, is that right?
Yes.
What happens to this one?
Well, this one is for the Air 2016, which should have come down chute 23.
So it's come down the wrong chute. Why is
Come
that?
down the wrong chute. Because it reads the laser tags, but as you can see, the laser tag is bent, so it's obviously not read it properly.
What are the sort of bags that give you most problems?
Sort of bags that give us most problems would be something like this, which isn't actually a suitcase. It's just a little bag with a zip up the side, which is not very security conscious. Very easily torn.
The computerized system allows Carol and her colleagues to deal with up to 3,000 bags an hour, and it usually works okay on the day. But the message from the handlers is to make sure your luggage is sound and secure, and don't put your fragile bottles inside.
This is a 767 carrying about 230 passengers. It's just on its way out, and of course it needs some fuel. Steve here is the man who's filling it up. How much does it take, Steve?
You're looking somewhere in the region of about somewhere around about 57
You have to
tons.
think about that for a moment.
I
How
did
many
think
again?
Around about 57 tons.
57 tons, of course it's measured in tons, isn't it? Where does all the fuel go?
Fill the wings first, and then once you fill the wings, you fill the centre.
But you actually measure it in tankers like this, don't you? I mean, how many tankers would it take to refuel one of these?
Round about 2.
About 2 of these tankers?
About
two of these tankers?
Yes, no more than 2.
Oh, and if you've ever moaned about your car parking charges, well, it costs around £1,600 for a plane like this to make a landing here, and that's without the fuel bill.
Now, when you get on your plane to fly to Spain, well, you expect it to be as clean as a new pin, really, and quite often it is. So who are the people who actually clear up all the mess after the last lot of passengers have just got off? And they do it pretty quickly as well, don't you, Dave? What's your turnaround?
On one of these, about 20 minutes.
What are the sort of things you find?
Wallets, walking sticks, you name it, anything.
Wallets and walking sticks.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
people leave that behind?
Oh yeah, you name it, they leave it.
When a flight comes in from a long haul destination, you can open the doors and find blankets, newspapers, cups just thrown everywhere, as if everyone's just had one big party all the way across.
Tomorrow tomorrow night we'll be finding out what happens to left luggage. But let's end this evening with another of Bob Bell's legendary tales.
I was called to level 5 where I was invited to view this vision of loveliness. And when I arrived there, I saw these fluffy pink slippers, stockings and suspenders, a red basque. And I said to this chap, "Excuse me, sir, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, it's my birthday," he said, "and I've been brought from Bury. I thought I was going to Blackpool," he said, "and I've just been dumped here with no money, no credit cards."
Well, yes, interesting choice of attire for a trip to Blackpool. That's obviously another story altogether.
Avoid paying excess baggage. And there are more strange but true stories to come as Trevor Green brings us the second part of his look at life behind the scenes at Manchester Airport.
Thank you.
Well, we've come 150 feet above the ground, I suppose what you describe as the nerve centre here at the airport. That's air traffic control. The people here, of course, are responsible for all the takeoffs and landings. Peter, he's the man in charge. Peter, just how busy does it get here on a bank holiday?
Well, this bank holiday, I think, will see the start of the summer as we know it.
How many movements are you preparing for this weekend?
Well, this weekend, I guess the maximum is around about the 560, but we've already reached 560 in the past 2 to 3 weeks, so we're hoping we're geared up to meet the traffic levels.
It's a fairly stressful job, isn't it?
It's stressful for sharp bursts. Controllers are legally required to take a break after usually about 2 hours of working.
Speedbird 5006, taxi straight ahead to Alpha.
Good morning, Britannia 401 Alpha.
That's 5.
Britannia 401 Alpha, take the southern route to the Cat 1 holding point, you're first to depart.
Are there any strikes this weekend? That's what people are going to be worried about.
None predicted. This weekend is going to be a busy weekend. It's Ascension weekend in most of Europe, which is equivalent to our Easter holiday. It's also the Monaco Grand Prix, and demand is expected to be heavy. But although demand is heavy, there are no major problems foreseen at this stage.
Last night we heard about the strange belongings we foolishly leave on aircraft, but some people, it seems, even expect the left luggage department to look after their pooches.
We had one lady who was going away for a fortnight, and she brought with her pet dog. And she went to the left luggage and said that she would like to put it in there for a fortnight. And would that be a problem?
What did you say?
We declined the invitation.
And here's a rare glimpse at some of the thousands of objects we do leave behind in our haste. Take a careful look, because if it's yours and it's not claimed after 3 months, then it's off for auction.
Amongst the more bizarre things we get left are the things we tend to associate with miracles. Walking sticks, crutches, wheelchairs, contact lenses, lots and lots and lots of spectacles.
And there are the confiscations.
Hairsprays in almost commercial sizes. People are allowed an individual hairspray for their own use, but when they get to larger ones like this, then they become a potential weapon. Water pistols may sound odd and may sound a little petty, but it could theoretically be filled with acid. Petrol, obviously, highly inflammable, and something that is becoming more and more popular all the time are these multi-use torches, which do actually contain a battery. The battery can be used for a number of reasons, and many of them contain wet cell batteries, which could potentially leak, of course.
There are over 300 catering staff, and food demands this weekend are likely to be gastronomical.
Just been looking at the flight schedules for this weekend coming now, and we're expecting to be producing some in the region of 7,500 sandwiches per day. The top selling sandwiches at the moment are cheese and pickle and egg and cress coming in at number 2. Chips, we expect to be doing about 3,500 portions per day. We've got a lot of people departing early in the morning, and they want the last taste of England with an English breakfast. 1,500 pounds of bacon, 4,500 sausages. To make the sandwiches and the toast that goes along with that, some in the region of about 5,000 loaves of bread per day.
In our final report next week, we meet a fod hunter. What does he do? I realise a childhood dream. Oh, and there's Paul. Where has he been?
And if you are going abroad this weekend, we hope you have a great holiday. We'll be having another look, as Trevor said, behind the scenes.